yeah, that you will. I would. If I was out there, it's like, okay, that's exactly what I would do. If I'm out there in a cave somewhere, okay, what am I going to do when my cousin comes back? He can help us. And for them, it's not even a jihad. It's more, hey, these strangers, these foreigners are trying to take our shit, right? They all, in America, they want to put it all in a jihad context. Oh, the evil Muslims. For them, it's like, fuck, learn the lessons of Vietnam. Foreign invaders, man. People don't like that shit. They never will. They never will. They never will, man.
No.
Yeah, I read a while
That's a
back.
very good point, Tucking Lore. It will change, and tactics have to change along with them. Again, I think the very important thing with drones is the lack of specificity in their kill.
Yeah.
I don't need to give you guys the numbers. And it sounds good. Back here in America, the folks that watch just the news plays well. Boom, a drone killed the terrorist, bitching. The quote collateral damage isn't really mentioned or doesn't get much attention, or they really don't care.
It will be higher.
Waterbox
than anything.
It's a very skewed number, from what I understand. I mean, there's been different reports from being anywhere from 90% civilian death rates to, only 10%. It's just they skew the numbers so that, it's basically their story versus ours. It was mainly Saudi and Middle Eastern people that were reporting the very high civilian death rates, and then our people were reporting very low civilian death rates. So it's their word versus ours. I tend to believe them because they're there, and I don't think they have really too much of a reason to lie about that shit. And I think that, I don't know. I think that we're probably more likely to be in the wrong, especially when we're droning.
Well, and often with propaganda, we have to understand this, whether it's Guy Kawasaki or Goering, right? The truth, or it's Rumsfeld or the United States press, right? These both extremes. Often the truth rests somewhere in between. In my work with history, even my radical points of view, when I really did some intensive study on things, the truth is kind of grayer, right? You know what I mean? Like anyone who listens to hardcore history, which makes history very entertaining, there's a lot of there isn't one clear story. No, this happened, this happened, this happened. There are many facts that lead to things, and it's not always one simple story. It's often many stories. But I think drones have changed things. It's up to revolutionaries to adapt. I think all of us who communicate through social media and the internet have to understand that a portion of what we transmit is observed and going into some sort of big giant data computer. And my point on that is, first, the things I talk about are legal. And second, I would rather saturate them with too much data, if you know what I'm saying. You're listening? Okay. How's 50,000 tweets, motherfucker? Sort through that. All their programming is going to do is scan through certain things, right? Now, me as an American citizen, do I have the right to privacy? Yes. Is it guaranteed by the Constitution? Yes. Is my government violating the Constitution? Yes. These are all facts. These are all facts, okay? The government is violating our Fourth Amendment right to legal search and seizure. That is a fact, and that is wrong. And in regards to that, in California, anybody in California should know this. Your cell phone, if you are arrested by the cops, they do not need a warrant to go through that. That includes all your email, social media accounts, and pictures.
Hide your dick pics.
Hide your dick pics for sure. Yeah, the Man Love Friday guys better get the 411 list. So
I showed them my cock.
So I think until that changes in California and a couple other states, look for encryption on your phone in case you're up to anything you want to keep private. And that doesn't mean you're up to anything illegal. What if it's a picture of your fucking girlfriend? You know what I'm saying? Or your email. I don't want anyone to fucking read my email or go into my Twitter. But if a cop were to arrest me and I had my phone on me, in California, they have the right to go through everything on my phone.
You cannot tell me that they won't fuck with you then. They will go through shit and
absolutely
they will take advantage of that. They will go through shit the most they can.
They go through my phone and see, what are all these pictures of marijuana leaves in the Church of What's Happening Now on 80 Bravo Radio? What's up? What are you doing? Are you distributing? We see a conspiracy here. Now we're going to search your home and your computer, which is exactly what they would do.
Yeah,
they would use that to get a search warrant to go search my home, search my office. They won't find anything illegal, but taking my personal
But still,
computer,
yeah.
it's a violation.
You don't want to get fucked with like that.
Yeah, and it's always best not to draw too much attention to yourself either. You don't get fucked with like that. If you know what I'm saying. But yeah, these are those things. So that does concern me. And but I do think we will have a time in America, and it may not be for 8 years, but we do have another church committee, and we do put a cap on the growth of intelligence. Now, what will happen is after 10 years, that'll change. I really do see the history of this country as a little ebb and flow, a little push to the left, a little push to the right, a little change this way, but then a change back. And again, look at the last 125 years of American history. You'll kind of see those shifts. Never very radical in one way or the other, right? There are moments, though, we saw in the 60s. And again, these church committees, I suggest anyone listening, just look into it. It's very important. And because there was a security state long before the NSA existed. You know, and you guys check this out. There is a organization within the NSA. I think it's called DAO. I just heard some stuff about it, which was very interesting. Let me see if I can. I heard it on a podcast, and the DAO of NSA. Yes, the DAO of NSA. Let me read this to folks. I heard this on one of the many podcasts I listened to, and I can't source it. I'm sorry. But it's a special NSA hacking team. Let me see if I can find the dirt on them. And this is from a good source. This is Time World. This isn't just Alex Jones. It's cats. Oh, come on. This page is taking a second. Let me find another page that opens quicker. Okay, this is the NSA. Here we go. Let me find a quicker story that'll boot up. But look into this NSA DAO. DAO, unfortunately, using DAO, which those of us in martial arts or Taoists at all understand, Lao Tzu were kind of offended by this, but the NSA team called the DAO hacks to gather intelligence on targets. And I can post an article. Gosh, if this would just pop up quick enough. I'm sorry. Anyone listening, pull this up, please. For whatever reason, my browser won't open. Hey, maybe that's funny. My browser won't open up this article on the DAO. Isn't that kind of funny?
They won't let you.
I swear to God, I just hit 4 sites. They're listening. Okay, the DAO is called the Tailored Access Operations. It's on Wiki. It's a cyber warfare intelligence. Fuck. Dude, I just hit 4 mainstream websites on that, and they wouldn't open. A cyber warfare intelligence.
Tell us again, Motorboxer. Sorry.
It's called the NSA DAO, TAO. It's the Tailored Access Operations. It's been active since 1998. It identifies, monitors, infiltrates, and gathers intelligence on computer systems being used by entities foreign to the United States. Now, check this out. Entities foreign to the United States. If I tweet to Leon outside of the United States, suddenly my information and my connection becomes foreign. People have to understand this, the way the current laws have been interpreted. Therefore, the DAO can now spy on me. You guys have to understand that. So we've already opened up the door to them because it becomes international and it pops off another server somewhere or any of these kind of, this Skype call, this opens up to them. But
wait, so Motorboxer, do I have the right people here? It's the NSA's Tau hacking unit is considered to be the intelligence agency's top secret weapon.
Yes, sir.
Its own covert network infiltrates computers around the world and even intercepts shipping deliveries to plant back doors and electronics ordered by those it's targeting.
They go deep. And the way they get around, the CIA's purview is only foreign, right? Okay. Same with the NSA, same with these intelligence agencies, right? Yet the DAO, because if you make a foreign connection, right, like this call, this can fall under their purview and they're not violating any laws, right? You know what I'm saying? Same with the CIA and any of these folks that are supposed to be focusing on foreign threats.
That's like fucking Stratfor with Alex Jones.
I don't know what that is, but I do know that
Dude, that's the exact same thing, because the CIA is not allowed to technically spy on Americans. So what they do is they hire outsourced companies like Stratfor, and then Stratfor is a company, and they make all these loose little ties with with American companies, and they just kind of bury their paper trail. And then they have people like Alex Jones who end up working for the CIA, which is Stratfor as a CIA controlled opposition disinformation unit. And that's the same thing as what you're talking about, dude.
Yeah, and
You're,
this, like I say, this just came up, and I listen to so many podcasts sometimes in my sleep or when I'm just doing things, and this just like I kind of like whoa, and I read a bunch on it, but I think it's important other people hear about these folks. But hey, we already know that everyone's listening; they're listening to this if they want to. What's important is don't throw out any keywords or hashtags, everybody. And we're not,
yeah.
well, perhaps we did, because in our conversation we said words like Al Qaeda, we said words like NSA, we said
Dude,
words like that.
earlier we were talking on Twitter, and I mentioned communist. And suddenly this Twitter bot account, McCarthy, popped up.
Whoa.
Like, you mentioned communist, like, beware or something like that, something crazy like that. I didn't even put it in hashtags, just mentioned communist. And
Whoa.
but this was it's like a comedy parody bot account, I guess. But yeah, it's still crazy.
Well, dude, I had one, you guys know what the EZLN is, or the Zapatista Army of National Liberation in Mexico?
Yeah.
Look into it, right? It's anyways, it's a movement, I've been interested in since I was a college age, and I went down to Puebla, Mexico, and I had some friends that I knew that were psychologists down there. I knew in America. We went down, and I stayed down there for a couple months over the summer, and got to kind of know the cool Indian people there, and then really kind of got to know stuff about the genocide of the Indian people in Mexico, and particularly in certain regions, and the EZLN is kind of standing up for their rights, right? And they've got this Anglo leader who's very charismatic, and his name is Marcos. Nevertheless, my son and I have always repped like EZLN, right, shirts and stuff. And I posted a picture of him when he was 13. And I said, my son's been down with the EZLN since he was 10, right? And I posted a picture of him because it was funny. He's been down. My boy's been down with EZLN ever since he was 10. No big deal. And I put EZLN in there. Some fucking anti-EZLN fascist fucking attacked me and started to just go off on how dare you. You know what the EZLN has done? And it's like, whoa. And I got into a brief conversation with them, just thinking, okay, well, maybe we could have a dialogue. And this dude was just, he was one of those true believers. And how we found it, you know what I mean? I didn't even hashtag EZLN. I just happened to put EZLN.
Meter earlier. It's crazy.
And he hit me up, and he just wanted to go to war. And this guy was clearly a fascist who hated Native Indians in Mexico, and that's all I could say. But it can happen, man. It's scary. So if they can do it, some amateurs can do it. Think about it,
dude. Have you guys seen this shit? Like, I've been watching a lot of Vice recently, and there's this one Vice where it's like somewhere in Kazakhstan, I guess. It's like right next to China and Russia. And it's like a big like horse place where they ride a lot of horses, I guess. And the big crazy thing is that they I can't even say it with a straight face, but they kidnap their brides.
Yeah, I caught that one. Yeah,
bride kidnapping in Kazakhstan or something like that.
Yeah, that's like
Some tribes in Africa do this as well. They go to the next tribe village and just grab the prettiest girl and say, "Yeah, that's my wife now." It's true.
Yeah,
it's part of the tradition.
It's so weird. It's like a tradition.
Yeah,
it's like a tradition, but they try to play it off like it's just normal. Like this guy was who they were filming. He was like, "Oh yeah, I've already told her that I'm gonna marry her and da 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 da." But it's just the tradition.
Yeah,
and they go and kidnap her. They go and kidnap her, and it's serious. Like they fucking grab her hard, and she's crying, and she's like, oh! and they're throwing her in the van and jamming her and shit, and she's still crying, and and at the very end, she was like, "Yeah, I knew he was gonna marry me, but I was just playing along," and it's just like, oh my god, what the fuck is this place? That they have this tradition where it's okay to kidnap people, and that's
Not only
it's
there,
insane.
more tribes have that. In the Amazon, there's tribes that do that too.
Yeah.
They
Mongolia,
just
too.
go to the next village and kidnap their bride.
In Mongolia,
But it's
there's like this old these old they've done it and they still do it to this day. There's a documentary out and it's these Mongolian horse brides or something where they just do that. It's interesting. It's definitely an ancient way, and but perhaps just like arranged marriages in certain cultures, this is just how they do that dance. I try to respect every culture because the world is full of many flavors, right? And not just to judge it through my eyes as an American or a Westerner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Of course, when it comes to, we've got to think if women are cool with this, because you know what I'm saying? If women are genuinely
I
being
don't think
kidnapped,
they're cool with it though, man. I don't.
or are
Like,
they just doing it? I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. And
if you watch the video, like they interview like the older ladies and shit, and they're like, were you like okay with this? And then they're just like, no, but that's just the way it is. And it's just like, oh my god, like you bitches are getting raped,
hey, we're
and they don't
we're
even
taking a
know it.
pro woman point of view, but by the in quotes, you bitches are getting raped. But I get you, brother. I get you, brother. Well, the world is full of a variety of flavors, and before we judge, it's kind of good just to just look at it and go, whoa, okay, that's one way of doing things.
I mean, the execution is a little bit harsh, but it
Oi.
keeps the gene pool fresh, you know?
Ooh, Lucas with the stinger. That's what we need.
Oh,
See,
shit.
I know funny, but I'm not funny, and so we need funny.
Yeah, I respect traditions, but at some point it kind of stops. Like I'm from Spain, part of my family is from Spain, and I don't agree at all with the bullfighting, matador stuff, toreros, and all that stuff. I don't agree with that stuff, and I'm glad that on Canarian Islands, where I'm from, it's banned from there now. A couple of years ago, they banned it.
There, you know what?
Gladly.
Despite all the romantic literature and Ernest Hemingway and all this, right? And I don't kill things, but I respect hunters, right? I
Yeah,
respect hunters that kill things to eat. I have no
Exactly.
problem with that. I have hunters in my family, and most humans eat meat. I'm not going to try to change that.
trophy hunting is a problem.
Yes, trophy hunting is a problem. And by the way, I follow and they follow me. There's a Twitter cat. I don't want to put this in there now, but anyone who's seen a bullfight and not just read the literature about it, when you see often the unfair advantage, and there might be the occasional goring, and there is certainly an element of danger, and as part of tradition or whatever. But down in Mexico, you could see them, right? You go right across the border.
I've seen a couple. Spain.
Whatever drama's being played out, right? Just like clubbing baby seals, I do think some things we can just drift away from. And in time, perhaps we as paying customers, I think that's where you change it. You don't bring out laws or anything, but perhaps as the folks I support comedy with money, right? I support artists with money. I buy surfboards from people who make good boards, right? We as consumers can just steer away from that shit, just like SeaWorld will back away from. I think
Yeah.
that's one way we can passively just start to say, okay, we're just, you know what, if that's your thing, bitchin', I'm gonna try not to judge it. And maybe if enough of us have the same opinion, then if there's only 10 people at the arena, that'll go out of business. You know what I mean? It'll be a small little culture. And I do think it's absolutely inhumane. And again, the fighters do take a certain level of risk, but they have an incredible advantage.
Yeah.
You have to understand. And many times they drug the bulls.
They
The
drug
bull-
them. They starved them, tired them out before. They already get in the arena tired and frightened and starved, so they're weakened before.
There's nothing fair about it. It's not
No.
two equal opponents like in the UFC or anywhere where we're same weight classes, same. No. And that motherfucker, that bull who's tired and scared and intoxicated, he has two horns, but that fucking matador's got a lot more.
And
You know what I mean? He's got sword.
if you see like an accident, an accident when someone gets injured, like some dude gets injured. That's a freak accident. That happens like once every 100 times.
An anomaly.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely.
That's
so
not.
Yeah, certain things like I say, before I criticize a cultural activity, I first try to look at it in the eyes of, okay, this exists, right? And then then I'll say, all right, in my my value system, this is pretty hard to justify. It just because I don't see,
Okay,
that
another vice. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
These are excellent. Bring up a new topic.
But no, it's another Vice documentary.
That's
it's
good.
Another fucking crazy one. It's the one where there's North Korean slaves in Russia. Have you guys seen that one?
I think they've created this whole simulated North Korean community, right?
Yeah. And what they do is they just Kim Jong whoever's in charge now. I'm sure he's still doing it. They send slaves up to Russia to go cut down trees and just do basic like labor, and they just basically ship them there for money, and they have these own little North Korean communities and shit. And Shane Smith and some other guy totally exposed it. They went all the way up there, and they went up to the camps and saw all the North Koreans and shit in Siberia. And it's true. They're fucking doing that. There's slaves. North Koreans just send slaves there. And it's so sad because there's one point where they interview some North Koreans, and they're just like, there's no happiness here. Like they're like, do you choose to be here? And they're just like is there any reason why you're here? And they're like, there's no happiness here. And it's the fucking saddest thing ever.
It's very interesting. You bring up North Korea, and I think about China, and we all see China as it will obviously more than an emerging nation. It probably economically is going to be the other world power, right? Great productivity, but I will bring this point up bring up this for argument. One of the flaws, and one of the things that will keep China from perhaps being as successful as, like in history, as maybe Japan, England, United States, we got to think of, there's a lot of countries throughout history that have had, France, Germany, there are periods of dominance, we know this, right? One of the flaws of them for world domination may in fact be the very Chinese character, the very Confucian character that follows obedience to the state, right? Because I think one of the things that makes Americans successful is we work, but maybe not as hard as them. But our desire to look outside the box and challenge the state and the system, right? I think too much conformity, which is, if to understand the Chinese nature, you have to understand Confucianism.
I think I know what you're saying. I think I know what you're getting at.
But that flaw, in the sense that they are so productive and so focused, right? And in some ways giving up to the state, because if you understand Confucianism, it's better to understand Confucianism. To understand China, you have to understand Confucianism more than Mao. Okay, the Chinese character. But I think as far as being a world dominant power and overtaking the world, like some people fear, I think that very character will limit that, because that obedience to the state limits something in the population.
Yeah,
that's just a theory.
Isn't that what also made America so powerful in a way? Because we kind of had that same Chinese just blind obedience, but
never in America. I mean, you know what? There's always been America. One of the American characteristics is this cowboy, do it your own way spirit, and that is very. And it's whether it being an entrepreneur or starting your own fucking thing or pioneering the West or slaughtering Indians or these things, manifest destiny, or break the Ted Turners or the whomever you want to find, someone who says I'm going to go a different fucking direction, right?
But if you look at China with all the obedience to the state and everyone giving themselves up for the state, working 18 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week. They have a lot of productivity, but what they will lack is creativity, because they're not free. Their mind is not free to create. That's what American people have, And
so you see how that kind of it does, and that you see how my theory is that that could end up being a kind of a cog in that machine, that very, very, very machine, because even though it's so efficient and so well engineered, perhaps like Germany was so well engineered in the middle of the 20th century, or you can even accuse Japan at times of being so well engineered, at a period in the 20th century, right? But yet China, that particular characteristic, I think those folks who want to protect the world, them dominating the whole world, I think that will serve more as a flaw, as strong as it makes them as a producer.
I don't know. I got to interject here. Because I think that China has just been a producer nation rather, their entire lives. So they've just been producing, and I feel like they're slowly turning into a consumer nation. So they're slowly going to turn into America.
Well, you've got to take one thing into account, that when you're talking about China versus the United States, you've got 5,000 years of culture and history existing, and most of that period dominated by this Confucianism, right? It's very difficult to break 5,000 years of culture, right? You have to, and again, I'm being respectful of the culture, but I also, in my study of like martial arts and stuff, I spent a lot of time studying the various cultures where a lot of them originated, and I'm fascinated with the philosophy and certainly have studied it. And, along with Taoism, which is wonderful, Confucianism, to understand China, you've got to understand Confucianism. You've got to imagine a scholar putting together a system of order for how a citizen should obey the state. Okay? That's what Confucius did. All right? And basically it was a guidebook for the state and the citizen to live by. And for thousands of years, whether consciously or unconsciously, this is how Chinese have lived. And many historians can argue or have argued in the past that sometimes that has been one of their major flaws, right? Just something to consider, though. But just my thoughts at the moment. I love this discussion, guys. We're talking about the whole world. We've gone from
I don't know. I'm just really scared of China, though, because I feel like China they're a major producer. They have a ton of our money, and they basically can do whatever they want. I mean, if they want to stop fucking selling to us, they could probably do that. I mean, they would be fucking themselves over because they would be losing a ton of income. But if they just want to go straight through the necessities and just go through Africa and to get their oil, and the Middle East to get their oil, and Africa to get all the other shit, they could probably do that. And they're getting to a point where they could survive without us. And once China gets to a point where they can survive without us, the Americans are fucked.
Well, but you got to understand we know who the world's largest manufacturer is, and who is the largest consumer and customer, the United States. There is the interdependence,
Yes, but until China decides they want to be both the consumer and the manufacturer, and then we're fucked. Because then we have no relevance, we have no economy, we have no nothing, and then we're fucked.
Well, no, see, I'm all about when a problem presents itself, you come up with a strategy to deal with it. We've manufactured things in the past, we can. It'll be more expensive, and people will probably get less televisions. All right. You know what I'm saying? We adjust. It would be foolish for any business person. I'm a business person that sells to people. Even if I hate that customer that's paying my mortgage, I'm not going to alienate my biggest customer, right? Money is more important than loyalty and religion. I will tell you. Look at jihadists or IRA terrorists, all broke for greed. You know that? Understand? I mean, every organization, whether it be the mafia or terrorist organizations, there's going to be an infiltrator that is more loyal to greed and money. So everything could be broken, and everything will be broken. There's no secret organization, and don't anyone who's in an organization think you're secret, because I do believe many people, not all, are more loyal to money than their cause. You know, many men have weaknesses. You know, there are many weaknesses.
Did you
Your
hear
thoughts?
about did you hear about North Korea? The uncle of this
Sure,
guy, he got eaten by live dogs. He got eaten alive by
Oh,
dogs.
yeah, 20 dogs.
talk about that. I got it. My wife I'll be right back. My wife needs something. Okay.
Okay.
Back in 2
All right.
minutes. Sorry about this.
Well,
Leon.
he got eaten by
Uncle.
dogs, and people in America, they are outraged by it. They're like, oh my god, how barbaric, how crazy. Yet, not even in the last 50 years, they assassinated their own president, pretty much. Like JFK, I'm sure he got killed by the government. I mean,
I'm sure too, but we don't know that, Leon. Like that's the whole thing.
yeah, we don't know that because they cover it up. And in North Korea, they go straight up and.
I know that because I can look at fucking evidence, and I can look at a documentary and be like, okay, yeah, clearly there's some sketchy shit going on.
Yeah, but the difference is in North Korea, they don't try to cover shit up. They don't give a shit. They just do it, you know? There's nothing.
Yeah, they just do it, and then they just cover it up on mainstream media, and 99% of people believe it, and it's all covered up.
But wait, they didn't really cover it up because it's a tactic of spreading fear. You know, if they do something like that, the whole population will know we better don't fuck with the government.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's
right.
That's another tactic.
You're right there too, because it's not covering it up. It's basically doing it blatantly in plain view.
That's like
the
most savage and old school way ever. They're like just straight up killing this guy, having him eaten alive by dogs. Everyone's like, oh my god, we better don't fuck with them. You know, that's
like some medieval shit. You know, in Germany you have like these castles, and they had the so-called bear pits where you kept bears and you just threw people into. It's like the same thing.
It's the exact same thing, and it's ridiculous, dude. They just murder people, and no one fucking cares. That's the thing that really gets to me, guys. And I'm sorry, I could fucking. If I didn't care so much, I mean, I would break down and cry right now because I fucking care fucking so much, but I just can't let it get to me anymore this bad. But I really do care, and I just hate how.
Hey, brother, are we live? Waterbox is back in the house.
I'm pretty sure we're still live. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we're still live.
We're live.
Good.
And we're live. But the thing that gets to me, what I'm just trying to say is just that people don't fucking care anymore. If we all banded together and we were all just like, yes, this is what's going on. There's people that are trying to control us. They're trying to poison us. They're fluoridizing us. They're GMO poisoning us. They're brainwashing us, all this other shit. If we all just admitted that and came together and said, yes, we need to arrest these criminals who are right here in fucking front of us, in our plain sight, doing these crimes, then we would be better off. But nobody wants to do that. And there's all these fucking people who are just so brainwashed by fucking Miley Cyrus and all these other fucking stupid Duck Dynasty fucking bullshit. And it's just like, why?
But I think that's a problem of our generation too. I think we're the first generation since, that is totally asleep. How many of people our age will think about something 100% for like a day, totally dig their mind into it? They don't. They're preoccupied with their iPhone and
too many distractions.
Hey, bro, here, let me blow you guys away.
Because
the funniest thing.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Go on.
It's because fucking people. It's not personal. It's not fucking personal. And until it affects you personally, until GMOs fucking make your brother a diabetic or make your sister have lupus, and they fucking feed your family these pharmaceutical drugs which fucking kill them. You know, it's not going to be personal. And until it becomes personal, people are just going to be like, "Oh, do whatever."
You know what, dude?
Who
Or
cares?
check it out through social media, through podcasting, through the new media that we are all part of, right? And there are plenty of people who aren't part of it. Like, I'll be in a conversation with a person, young or old, and I'll mention the word podcast, and when their face goes blank, I realize I can't start talking about Twitter or anything else if they don't even know what that is. But I will argue, at first, social media and podcasting, this new media, will allow you to communicate your message to more people. And what we could try to do is those people, maybe they're your friends, they don't seem like turned on to anything. Maybe find that thing that turns them on. It may not be the thing, you know what I mean? In other words, find that common point. It's like, but a lot of people, I will tell you, are just lulled into television. Do you know what I mean? They're lulled into just watching rather than doing. And they don't experience, I will tell you, the real world life, like out in nature. Do you know what I mean? The real world life, like walking around on the streets. They're just lulled. They go to work, they go home, they really watch. I don't have a television, guys, just in case you don't know. Since my son graduated, went away to school, we sold the big house and everything and went to a little tiny house by the beach, got rid of almost all our objects, almost divested, and no TV for going on, well, since 2012, so 2014, And you know what? I got the internet. I'm more informed than I ever was.
It's unnecessary, really.
It's anyone,
need
anyone
more.
doing that. But
And-
there's, go on.
Another problem is really people aren't compassionate. Like they're compassionate on a very superficial level. They like read something on Facebook and they share it, and that's their end of their involvement in the problem.
Yeah.
And that will not solve anything.
Well, here's my question. How do we spark a feeling? You know what I mean? Because every human has the capacity for compassion, right? And maybe turn them on to, have you listened to Joe Rogan? Or maybe the vehicle is through one of our comedy podcasts or something like that. Or maybe if they're your friends,
I don't know. Waterboxer, honestly, I think what wakes people up is honestly, it's not positivity.
I know.
It's negativity.
Your point is, you know what? I can't argue with that point, sadly. It's honestly, people, when they feel it immediately, when they've lost their job, or when, do you know what I mean? And for Americans, people don't understand Americans. We're not gun crazy. It's part of the culture. You have to understand America to understand it is part of the culture. So for Americans, when they talk about someone taking your guns, that it could be when it gets to that point for that person, when they're going, oh, fuck, man, I can't have a certain caliber weapon. What the fuck? And maybe that's what will, but I think through podcasting that we can wake people up. But again, the people who are dead.
Yeah.
Is it ironic that zombie movies are a trend during this period? Do you know what I mean? What's a better metaphor for The Walking Dead than The Walking Dead, right?
Well, let me say something about compassion. Like how powerful Twitter is in Death Squad. Look, our friend Yuck Nasty, he lost his house. His house burned down. Yeah. What's his name? Yuck Nasty?
Hey, yeah, let's all tweet that.
And
I did it through the cast. I tweeted out one of my pictures.
Yeah,
I made a variety of pictures.
Talk about compassion and how powerful it is. How this whole movement.
I'm gonna tweet that out.
Nothing prettier. And all these people, and some people don't know Yuck. We just know each other through the community. I don't listen to his podcast, but I've met him. He's a nice guy. I got one of, just because not as a bad podcast, but I listen to so many, right? I met him and his partner.
I listened to a few of them. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good production, good music and stuff. It's just, I got 100 podcasts, but good stuff. He's a good guy. He's in our network, and the word got out, and everyone did their own thing. You know what I'm saying? In many different ways. And like the Avengers assembled, So you're right. That's such a great point, because look at it, because there's that expression there, but for the grace of God go I. In other words, that could be me.
I mean, I never met the guy. I listened to like 2 or 3 of his podcasts. I liked it, and I just have compassion for it because it happened around Christmas. He has a son.
Oh.
It sucks, His whole house burned down. He says the studio burned down as well. Like he lost almost everything. So it's like pretty much what this movement and whole community is there for, to help out if help is needed. So
Yeah, and what I did is I'm putting out try to create a picture a day, but also too, people don't know this, but part of the company I do marketing for, I'm like a dealer for all the crap that he needs for a studio, right? So I told him whatever he needs for a studio, I'll give it to him at wholesale, right? So whatever it costs us, whether Sony, Yamaha, Sennheiser, whatever the fuck it is, anything he wants to replace, I can replace it. Give it to him, not at what you're going to pay on Amazon or internet. You know what I'm saying? So I could probably save him thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? Can't give it to him, but I could give it to him, probably 60% cheaper than any retailer.
yeah, everyone's helping out in a way they can. That's
yeah, and doing that, like I say, I could get him every single stitch of equipment he had, and again, probably save him, at least $5,000.
Look at Joey Diaz. He was right on it when it came out. He jumped on it, retweeted it, and said like, "Fuck my CD, help him out." That's powerful.
So did Eddie Bravo. So did Eddie Bravo too. I will admit, Eddie Bravo and Mad Flavor both retweeted that shit, and you know what? That's just amazing.
And O'Brien, what did O'Brien do? He retweeted the wrong link. I don't know if you guys caught this, but in the mix there was another. There was another fundraiser who's one of our friends. And if you're listening, sorry, but somehow his link got in the mix, and a couple of our friends actually donated it to that cause, which is another family that lost. So good cause, but yeah, it's all good. It's all good energy. But yeah, that's an example of what you can do for good. And
yeah, I mean, I just wish Joe Rogan would have fucking retweeted it, because
I bet Joe gets so many tweets a day. He just might not see it. He misses it.
He did retweet Joey's tweet. He did retweet.
Yeah.
He did retweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
He's slammed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
all right.
So that's a little easier, and so that's an example. You know what I mean? If we've lost faith in the majority, hold close the small minority, because this is an opportunity, an example of hope and change, right?
It is really crazy that we have this community where people can just like support someone like that,
Dude, any artist out there wants to do anything. Fuck, if I hear their podcast, I'll do anything. I'll make you pictures. I'll do anything, because I'm happy for you. You know what I mean? I'll shout you out and I'll mark the fuck out of you just because we help each other.
I got a big.
Just don't fake the funk.
I got a big payout from online poker. I'm playing online poker a lot lately, and I started recently again. And yeah, so when I heard about it with Jack Nasty with the donating thing, I just had to give something, because I just got some money and some spare money, and I figured, yeah, man, you got to give something to him. So I donated too, but I didn't mention my name because I don't think it's really important to put your name out there and say. I mean, it doesn't really matter where it's coming from,
It doesn't. Yeah, even like I wasn't saying that to get any credit. It was more, we're all doing something.
Yeah, sure.
I'm doing what I could do that no one else can do.
We're not sitting right now here bragging about it. It's just mentioning it. It's normal.
It's just it's like, what can I do? Okay.
Yeah.
I think I could create some persuasive pictures and words that may, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes you know what I mean? Sometimes an image and the words arranged just right can spark the right response. You know what I mean? And marketing for good is good. And everyone's doing everything, and not everyone could give, but even just good thoughts.
Yeah, definitely.
That actually helps. Good vibes. I will tell you, I've never asked for anything that's wide, but I've only gotten good things. And I've, you know what I mean?